Hello and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be working with kind of one of the hallmarks of good art practice, I suppose, figure drawing. By the way, if you're new here, my name is Momo. I'm an illustrator and I draw stuff on the internet sometimes. This is just a channel kind of documenting that journey in various stages. Whatever project suits my fancy, that's what I'm doing. And today I wanted to do some art practice, some good art homework, some good keep the skills fresh type of work. And one of those, trying to keep the skills alive type of practices is figure drawing. So drawing from life and figure drawing are like one of those hallmarks of building up that skill set. You want to have like a lexicon of good, like you can fall back on these. It's almost like muscle memory. I understand how the body works because I've drawn it so many times. However, getting a figure drawing class outside of an academic setting is rather expensive and sometimes, depending on where you live, hard to come by. Personally, since leaving school, I think I've only been to about 3 figure drawing classes total. Yeah, they're fun if you can get them, and if you can get them affordably, great, but not always easy to work into everyday life, right? So I actually recently heard about this series on Gumroad where they have costumed figure drawing classes. I can link it below, but basically what they do is they actually have someone modeling in the costumes live. So these videos they're not still images, they are videos, and they get a new guest artist to kind of draw along and they talk while they do it. So it feels like an academic setting in a way. It's reminiscent of school without being school. And they have different characters from popular culture as the references that they're going for. So they've done one where it's Barbie. This is obviously Wednesday. And I've seen Legend of Zelda, K-pop Demon Hunters, you name it. They probably have a class on it, and it's pretty affordable. And also the benefit of like, now I have it. I can keep going back to it if I want to. I mean, granted, I don't know if you want to revisit it, maybe for like a compare and contrast thing. Like, this is my figure drawing at the beginning of the year, and then this is at the end of the year. I don't know. But I decided to give it a shot. So for anyone unaware of how the usual process works with figure drawing, typically you start off with like really fast poses. They're called gestures. They're about a minute and you go through them really quickly. Obviously you have 1 minute to draw and the model is constantly switching poses every minute. And your job is to kind of get the idea, the gesture of the pose down. But it also serves to really loosen you up. And it's been, like I said, so long since I've done one that I really needed that loosening up period. Like, it helped so much to be able to build up to the 1 minute pose, the 2 minute, to the 5 minute. You could see me getting progressively looser and like getting the idea of the pose down, the movement down, so it doesn't feel stiff anymore. And I think that's a very big, important facet of like figure drawing. You want to get as loose as possible so that the body doesn't feel stiff or awkward, which I think happens to a lot of us when we're trying to draw from life. We're so concerned with like getting everything correctly that you kind of miss getting the feel of it correct, if that makes sense. When you're going through the gestures and stuff like that, you eventually just start settling into trying to capture the shape or the pose first and then get into the details later. And so you can see that kind of happening, or I don't know if you can tell, but I can tell. I can tell for me looking at my own art and like remembering how I felt doing these, that I was getting better and better at like getting the likeness correct because I was getting the gesture down first. And that's all because we did a little gesture trying to loosen up at the beginning. So shout out to the 1 minute poses, your real one. So these are now the 5 minute poses. a little bit more time to get things and details in better. I think at the beginning I was really struggling because I'd gotten into a groove with the 2 minutes, and so then I had all this time, but I kind of blanked out a little bit. I don't know how to explain it. It's basically like I got so accustomed to the time frame of 2 minutes that I did the gesture that would have taken 2 minutes, and then I was like, oh, more time? But then, eventually I started like figuring out how to like make that time work and put more things into spaces, if that makes sense. I don't know, I feel like I'm rambling a little bit. What I'm trying to say is, basically, now that I understood the time frame of 5 minutes, it was easier to not go so heavy-handed at the beginning because I'm thinking that it's over. Like if you look at this drawing right here, I'm starting a little bit lighter and a little bit thinner, if that makes sense, versus before I'm using very heavy, bold line work because I'm expecting this to be over in a minute. Also, side note, but the drawing to the right of this, the sketch over there, is one of my favorites of the whole session, and I low-key want to color it, but I'm also worried that when I color it, I'm gonna make it stiff. You know when you have a sketch and you decide to add color to it and all of a sudden, like, it immediately just looks horrible? Like it doesn't have the same loosey-goosey feeling to it, whichever. Yeah, I'm worried that will happen, so it might just live on forever as a sketch, but I don't know, maybe when Wednesday season 3 comes out, I'll revisit the idea and put color behind it. I don't know. Point is, I really like how it looks. Also, I'm not sure if it's because I'm working on an iPad, why it feels so different doing figure drawing, or it's maybe it's time, I don't know, it's been a while since I've done it. But typically when I've done figure drawing, I've always done it in like a traditional medium, so it's always like Conte or charcoal or pencil, something like that. But this is the first time I've truly ever done it digitally, which might have lent itself to stylistically it being a little bit more cartoonified, like stylized version of people, which is more fitting to how I draw typically. But I just find it funny because I have all these other life drawing things and I try to go for more of a realism approach, and this I didn't, and I cannot explain why. It just happened. I don't know if this is true for other people, but I think for me, when I'm working with different mediums, it's like a different style happens. I don't know why. Couldn't tell you. Don't have a logical reason behind it. But if you have that happen to you too, please let me know so I don't feel alone. Anyway, this is kind of it for today. This is our last drawing. This is about 10 minutes. And yeah, I had a lot of fun doing a figure drawing session again and being able to do it from the comfort of my own home. Great. I do want to find an in-person figure drawing class, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. This works for me for now, or even while doing a figure drawing class. I think this is a good fun thing to have. So yeah, into it. 5 stars. Anyway, new videos on my channel every other Saturday. Do all the YouTube things down below. Like, comment, subscribe, the drill. And until then, y'all, I'll catch you on the internet later. Also, check out all my socials. Everything's in the box below. You've been on YouTube long enough. You get the drill. All right, I'm out of here. Goodbye.